This one's a little bit longer. This comes from Dan. Firstly, thank you for all the work that you do and wonderful material that you provide. I was speaking with one of my church body this evening after study. He began to discuss that he was reading something about Satan's little season or Satan's season. This may have stemmed from my brief discussion about how everything has been running parallel since Christ ascended, like you've taught many times, and the return could happen at any moment. From what I can understand, he was reading a belief about postmillennialism. I brought up many references in the Bible concerning what happens during the 1,000-year reign, but he would return to his belief. This man loves Jesus, but I am concerned that he's focused more on a commentary than on his own private, diligent interpretation of Scripture. Could you help explain this, quote, season of Satan, unquote, and the belief that we are in the period following the 1,000 years? The belief states that all the proof has been covered up to deceive people. I know this is postmillennialism, but I find it hard to understand given the Scriptures for the reign of Jesus in Jerusalem. This just isn't how I've read the Scriptures, and for the life of me, I'm not sure how to guide him, not bonk him over the head and drag him unwillingly.
Well, Lance, as I'm constructing this from the question the best I can, the book of Revelation talks about this 1,000-year reign of Christ. And during that 1,000 years, Satan is bound, but he's not only bound, he's put into a bottomless pit. And not only is he put into a bottomless pit, but it's covered over. It's not just a binding of Satan, it's describing the complete cessation of Satan's activity. So the Bible describes that, and then it says, at the end of the 1,000 years, he's set loose for Little Caesar. Not Little Caesars, not the pizza place.
The short.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's a funny idea. Satan going to Little Caesars. Okay, that's...
Yeah, let's not go there.
Let's not go there at all.
We already did.
I have to get that image out of my mind. Okay, so the idea is that that's just a funny image. Isn't that to think of that?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not great pizza, but it's cheap. Okay, all right, let's get back. The idea that Satan is let loose for this little season. Why are you laughing? But then in Revelation, it says that he goes about the earth, stirs up a rebellion, and then that rebellion is immediately crushed. I am supposing that this person is describing an eschatological framework, an end times framework, where we're in that little season of Satan's work. I don't see that at all. I would just say, whatever would make us think that we're in that? And I just don't see that would be saying that everything prior to that in the book of Revelation has already happened, that Jesus Christ has already returned in glory on a white horse with the armies of heaven, that's already happened.
Right.
So I just kind of would dismiss that idea out of hand and just say, I don't get it. I don't know quite how look, I know some millennialists that I love and respect. I should ask them. Maybe they think Revelation has no real chronological aspect and it's just all hit and miss. But they would believe that we're in the 1,000-year reign where Satan is bound. And that in Revelation comes after the glorious return of Jesus. They wouldn't, an millennialist wouldn't say that the glorious return of Jesus has already happened. I got to ask all millennials how they square that circle. I don't quite get it. But anyway, look, we're not in the season where Satan has been released from this 1,000 year of captivity, nor are we in the season where Satan is bound and in that captivity, because as some of my amillennialist brethren like to point out, well, it says, well, Satan's bound. Well, yes, it does say that Satan's bound, but then only say that he's bound.
Right.
He's bound, he's put into a bottomless pit, and it's covered over. The image isn't there of a restricted Satan. The image there in Revelation is of a non-functional Satan.
Right.
He's not dead, but he is non-operational. And if anybody wants to look me in the eye today and say Satan is non-operational on the earth right now, you could say that he's bound in some sense. You could say that he's restricted in some sense because of the work of Jesus. Okay, I get that. But that's not what Revelation 20 is talking about.
No.
So we're not in the season after that. We're not in that 1,000-year season. We're in the season before that, before the glorious return of Jesus Christ and what Revelation describes as this 1,000-year reign.
Thank you for sharing that. I hadn't thought of that before, but we're not postmillennialists either, because if in postmillennialism we are in the process of, well, who knows, it's a very long period of time while the church infiltrates
50,000 years. Yeah. Don't worry about it. In 50,000 years, the church is going to win the world to Christ, and then Jesus can return.
One of their leaders recently said that, between 20 and 50,000 years.
Yeah, that's great. Don't sweat it, man.
Yeah. So, but then Christ comes back. Comes back. But then there's still this little season. So how does
I don't know. Maybe they just, well, it's not real. It's just all, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this gentleman who is struggling with this, apparently you have a pastor or Bible study leader here who has this guy that he's been trying to deal with, who doesn't want to be disabused of this idea that we're in this little season of Satan. That would then give the idea that this is a special season of Satan's activity and trouble on earth. That would be, wouldn't you agree, that would make, you would have to have a pretty limited view of history to believe that this period that we're living in right now is worse than functionally any other time in history. I mean, what about the plague? What about times in world history where it's been Second World War, First World War?
Well, and I would just, in that conception, when did that season begin? Did it begin in the first century?
1967. I don't know.
When did it begin? And you know, in Revelation, there's like 3 or 4 verses given to that whole thing. Have we been in those 3 or 4 verses for the last 2,000 years? I don't know. So
yeah,
doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I'm a simple man. There's a lot of things that go over my head.
Again, the more you study the book of Revelation and parse through what's spoken of there, the premillennial position of end time events really does fit it is the easiest. Requires the least amount of shoehorning and restructuring, and well, it doesn't really mean that. I mean, it's
what you would call the futuristic view of Revelation.
Right. Yeah.
The majority of what happens in the book of Revelation, especially from chapter 6 on, describes future events that have not yet happened in God's calendar. And to me, that's the way that it makes the most sense to me. So.